You don't want to overdo it. I mean, all right. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us on this chilly but sunny Wednesday. It's Wednesday, June 12th, 2024, and we're here for our weekly board session in the Senator Hearing Room at 555 Court Street Northeast in Salem. And if you would, please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right.
With your indulgence, Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to change an item on the agenda.
Yes, please.
I'd like to make a motion to change the term date for item number 2 on the agenda under Board of Commissioners, Board Committee Appointment, in order reappointing Fire Chief Joseph Budge to the Marion County Public Safety Coordinating Council, with the term beginning July 1st, 2024 and ending December 31st, 2024.
I second the motion. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, the motion passes. So
We got to vote first.
Oh, sorry. How do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now the motion passes. I assume since you read it and I agreed. Just kidding. Okay, now we'll move into public comment. This morning we have one individual, Ronald Sturba. Ronald, if you'd come over to this microphone, please.
This one?
This one over here. Thank you.
Thank you.
And when you get settled, just make sure the microphone is close and introduce yourself, your name and address for the record, please.
Ron Sturba, here in Salem, 520th Street Northeast in Salem, 970-301.
Good morning.
I want to talk to all of you. I have just finished radiation treatment from Salem Health, and I wanted to talk about radon. That is it's relevant here in Oregon, and the area of Portland has 4 counties that require a radon gas kit. I'm here because I came up with with the 2 items of items my wife and I both came with.
You're fine.
With the radon gas, I had 4 tests in my house over here, and 3 of them came positive in February. It's really interesting that I went ahead and did that test before I knew about cancer. And it was something that came up with a test that it was not for cancer, it was something else. And they diagnosed, said, you know, let's go ahead and check. Well, I have the early part of cancer, and I went through radiation. I have not been able to speak for 2 months, and I just started therapy, speech therapy, 2 weeks ago here in Salem. So I asked a question to two oncologies about radon gas and also about the chemotherapy. And the question was, is there anybody doing anything for the people here in Salem that are getting cancer? And the answer was nothing. And I says, why doesn't someone do something? So I'm a person who likes to go and have a problem taken care of or being addressed with a neighborhood association, something that I've been with for probably 1983.
I knew I knew your name.
And I think 14 times as a Simca Neighborhood Association person for whatever I can. I wish I could get more things to accomplish something for radon gas for Salem. I know you're here to talk about Marion County, but I'm talking about here in Salem. I think we need to take the items about radon gas very seriously. And I have a home that was built in 1928. And part of it has dirt foundations on it. And I went, really, no kidding. So I won't go into more discussion with the Salem, the old pipes that were in my neighborhood on the corner of my street. And the city of Salem went ahead and put all new piping, and then I found out that the old piping was now disconnected from my house, but it was just ended on the corner of my house. And so with the radon gas kit that I did in February, I'm wondering what was left for things that cause cancer. And I'm here to say that I want to become the first one here in Salem to go ahead and say I need some I want somebody to help me with radon gas and have something to do here in Salem because too many people are getting cancer.
Ron, I don't, apologize for cutting you off. I have a general idea of what you're asking for, and I don't know anything about radon, but I will look into it. I have your phone number, your contact information that you've provided. Commissioner Willis is shaking his head yes. So we'll do some research in the county, and we have an interesting relationship with the city, but we'll engage that to see what their thoughts are, and we'll follow up and call you and be in touch and let you know what we discover and what steps possibly could be taken in order to accomplish what you're asking, which I believe is to have some formalized process for radon detection and elimination in the community because of the impacts of individuals getting cancer. Would that be correct?
Excellent,
Great.
excellent.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. I hope that everything goes well for you. And I'm sorry you had to do radiation.
Yeah.
I know that's hard. But thank you
Well-
for being here today.
Well, the good thing is I'm here to back my thoughts
Right.
and with the counselors, yes, thank you very much.
Thank you. It's nice to
being
see
here.
you. And thanks
Thank
for your
you.
service on the Neighborhood Association.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Have a good
thank
day.
you for being here.
All right, Commissioner. Next on the agenda is a lengthy consent calendar, and I'm thrilled to be the chair, so I don't have to read it. Would you please read that?
Happy to serve, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I move that we approve the consent agenda. Under Board of Commissioners, OLCC licenses, recommend approval of Lynn Properties LLC DBA domain, I'm going to screw this one up, Mahyat, maybe? Mahalaxmi 2 LLC DBA Brooks Food Market in Brooks, Oregon. Under Board Appointment, Public Safety Coordinating Council, approve an order reappointing Joseph Budge, Fire Chief for the cities of Woodburn and Hubbard, as a citizen member to the Marion County Public Safety Coordinating Council, with a term beginning July 1st, 2024, and ending December 31st, 2024. Under Business Services, approve Amendment Number 3 to the lease agreement with Pioneer Trust Bank, trustee for the Salem Foundation, to add $89,655.78 for a new contract total of $905,921.10 for the lease of office space at 3867 Wolverine Avenue, Northeast, Building F in Salem, Oregon through June 30th, 2025. Approve Amendment Number 3 to the lease agreement with Pioneer Trust Bank, N.A., trustee for the Salem Foundation, to add $110,707.68 for a new contract total of $1,167,403.43 for the lease of office space at 3876 Beverly Avenue Northeast, Building G in Salem, Oregon, through June 30th, 2025. And approve Amendment Number 3 to the lease agreement with Pioneer Trust Bank, N.A., trustee for the Salem Foundation, to add $95,836.36 for a new contract total of $747,557 for the lease of office space at 3878 Beverly Avenue Northeast, Building H in Salem, Oregon, through June 30th, 2025. Under Health and Human Services, approve Amendment Number 1 to the contract for services with Melody Klug, to add $84,000 for a new contract total of $183,000 to continue to provide psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner services for the adult behavioral health program through June 30th, 2025. Under Information Technology, approve the purchase order with Mythix LLC in the amount of $246,164.55 to provide Oracle support services effective July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025. Under Sheriff's Office, approve Amendment Number 5 to the contract for services with Correct RX Pharmacy Services, Incorporated, to add $260,414 for a new contract total of $1,226,410.83 to continue to provide pharmaceutical services at the Marion County Jail through June 30th, 2025. Under Treasurer's Office, approve an order for the distribution of Oregon State Forestry timber revenues, as referenced in Exhibit A, in the amount of $758,732.81 per ORS Chapter 530.
I second the motion. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes. Look, I got it right the second time. All right, and on to our first action item under Board of Commissioners. Consider approval of the American Rescue Plan Act subrecipient agreement with the city of Stayton in the amount of $250,000 for improvements to 2 city parks through December 31st, 2026. Mr. Jeff White, good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you. My name is Jeff White. I'm the Chief Financial Officer for Marion County. What you have before you is the action item to consider approving the ARPA subrecipient agreements with the City of Stayton, as mentioned. This is for improvements to a couple of parks. I sent an email to you yesterday. I hope you had a chance to take a look at it with some information about this. In the original application, there was some direction from the board that the city apply for some potential grant money. They did look into that and were not, the State Marine Board said they were not willing to provide that funding for them. They're hopeful that taking that action and following your direction met the conditions that you had requested of them, and we're looking now to finalize the grant agreement with them so they can go ahead and do those projects at those 2 parks that they'd like to do.
Thanks, Jeff. So I got the email, and I vaguely remember the conversation. So now that they can't get that, and they're gonna apply this ARPA money to the 2 projects, the electricity piece, we never had any issues with or any conversation about, really. The second component, I think, was the most interested project, I suppose, for Commissioner Willis. And I just want to clarify, are they going to use this ARPA dollars to enhance the river bank that the state just said you shouldn't enhance?
I know that their intention is to put in a kayak boat launch area there.
Yeah.
Now, what that entails, I cannot tell you.
So I actually kind of have a similar concern as Commissioner Bedlow. So in the conversation we had,
I'm sorry.
specifically, everything that the Marine Board said, I said in the meeting, right? Which is they came and they said, we want to do a boat launch. And I said, there's a boat launch
Yeah.
literally 100 yards away from where you're trying to put a kayak launch. Why would we do it twice, right? And the Marine Board has basically said the same thing. And I think at the part of the conversation and part of the issue is that there's another access that needs to be improved there, and there's only so much money that we have. And so there's this question that I have, and that was the conversation, is everyone acknowledged that other access needed to be improved as well. So we sort of said, okay, let's see if the Marine Board will cover this cost, and then we can shift money to cover this other access that needs to be improved. But I don't disagree with the Marine Board's question on the first instance, which is, why are we improving? Why do you want a kayak launch 100 yards from an existing boat launch?
I don't think Jeff can answer that. I in that same conversation, I do support the kayak launch because, as I said in the meeting, it's difficult to just go off of an actual boat ramp in a kayak in a safe manner to get into that swift moving water. My concern about the investment of dollars is that the Marine Board has just said in an email, it's not a stabilized bank, it will erode, it's going to expand and get destroyed,
Yes, so that-
in essence is what they
Yeah.
said. So now my concern with this investment is we're wasting money.
Right.
And I don't know how, and the city's not here for us to have that conversation, and so I know this is super annoying probably, but with your permission, I'd like to hold this over and actually have another conversation with the new information that the Marine Board has provided. At the very least, I'd like to call the city manager and have her explain to me why this is a good investment of taxpayer dollars in an area that she may not have known until the Marine Board said this isn't a stabilized bank. And is this the best decision? And if
the state says this is a bad investment of their money, then that feels like it might not be a good investment of our money, right? That would be my concern.
Yeah, so, Jan.
And we just got this
more
email
work,
like
but-
yesterday, or I just read this email. I don't know when you sent it, but I just read it yesterday.
Sent it yesterday. Want to make sure you had that information for today.
Yeah, I think if we were able to allocate some money to the other access of this grant, or if they were willing to agree to it, then I would feel more comfortable about moving forward with this.
So for now, we're gonna pull it from the agenda.
Yeah.
And I'll do some work. In the next couple days, I'll give her a call and I'll follow up with Jan and Jeff, and then we'll
Perfect.
get it back as soon as possible. I know that we're on some timelines, right? We have to have this allocated by the end of this month.
By the end of December.
In December.
There has to
Okay.
be commitments on the expenditures by the end of 12/31.
The issue was there's this grant application.
Uh-huh.
And so that's what.
That was the June timeline.
Yeah, the idea was they were gonna hear back in the fall, and then they would get it done by December. But since the Marine Board is saying, we're not interested in this, we don't have to worry about that timeline. We have the full, whatever we have left, 6 months to sort this out.
I know they're anxious to want to get started on the other pieces
Right,
of
the
the
Christmas
project.
part of it for sure, I know, because they want to have all those lights in by this year's holiday season. I will follow up with her this week, and I will make sure that we get something figured out in the next, before, do we have
Okay.
board session next week?
No, holiday.
Holiday. So by the next board session, my goal is to have this back here in some fashion for you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner.
Yep,
All right, so yeah, I need a motion to table.
okay.
I guess we have to
Madam
take
Chair.
action on that.
Do you?
I think so, because it was called as an action item. Let's ask
Okay.
legal counsel.
Yes, you can have it come back to you at a later date. You're not taking action on the contract itself, but you can move to table it for kind of like a continuance of a hearing. Table it to come back to you at a future date.
Okay, I will move that we pull this item, this American Rescue Plan subrecipient agreement with the City of Staten from the agenda and have it come back to us at a later date.
I second the motion. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Motion passes. All right, moving on to consider approval of the contract for services with the Mid-Willamette Valley Community Action Agency in the amount of $600,000 to provide outreach and benefit services to local veterans effective July 1, 2024 through June 30th, 2026. Hi, Gary.
Good morning, Commissioners. Gary White with the Board of Commissioners Office. I'm here this morning to seek your approval for a new contract with Mid-Willamette Valley Community Action Agency to provide veteran services to veterans and their families of Marion County. Just a little bit of background. In June of 2018, a new Marion County Veteran Service Office was officially introduced to the community. This office is a partnership with Mid-Willamette Valley Community Action Agency, the Oregon Department of Veterans Affairs, and Marion County. The Veteran Service Officers are accredited VA representatives who advocate for Marion County veterans, dependents, and survivors to ensure they receive their earned benefits provided by federal and state law. These include but are not limited to filing disability claims, filing for pension, obtaining military records, applying for VA health care, applying for VA education benefits, and applying for surviving spouse benefits. To date, this year, the Marion County Veteran Services Program has interacted with 2,932 veterans or their families, resulting in $650,000 in new awards and over $2 million in retroactive awards. These interactions take place in the VSO offices, the veterans' homes, senior centers, and care homes, as well as community events. The Veteran Service Program is funded with a grant from the Oregon Department of Veterans Affairs and Marion County. This contract is for 2 years with a total not to exceed amount of $600,000. Be happy to answer any questions you may have.
I don't have any questions, just my standard poke at the state. I would just say on the record that veterans are one of the most important parts of our community, and the Oregon Department of Veterans Affairs does a great job of underfunding just about every necessary need that they have, including this office. And I know that there's a push through the Association of Oregon Counties and a few other organizations statewide to get them to understand the need for greater investment. I've heard from individuals in the community that they really love our VSOs, the officers that work in this office. They do a great job with what they have, but our veteran population isn't decreasing, it's only increasing here in Marion County, and we need the state to acknowledge that. So I appreciate the work, Gary, that you did on this contract. For me, I believe that it's more robust in its transparency with the contractor that does this work, and I appreciate that they have stood forward to do the work. But I think it's important that we're able to show taxpayers exactly where the money is going, even if it's state money. It is moving through us, and I feel accountable to that. So I know you and Matt spent some much needed time on it, so thank you.
Very welcome.
Yeah, there's some good additions to this contract that I think make me comfortable that we have good accountability in it to make sure that it continues to be a good service to folks in our community.
You're very welcome.
Okay. You ready, Madam Chair?
I am ready for a motion.
I'll move that we approve the contract for services with the Mid-Willamette Valley Community Action Agency Incorporated in the amount of $600,000 to provide outreach and benefit services to local veterans effective July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2026.
I second the motion. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, the motion passes.
Thank
Thanks,
you very
Gary.
much.
All right, moving on to business services, to consider approval of amendment number 1 to the lease agreement with Corey Development LLC to add $910,786.32 for a new contract total of $2,414,150.32 for the lease of office space at 976 and 986 North Pacific Highway in Woodburn, Oregon through June 30th, 2029. Yay.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tamara Getch. I'm the Director for Business Services. Happy to present this to you on behalf of the Health Department. This lease amendment would allow Marion County to continue services in the Woodburn and the surrounding areas for both mental and physical health needs of our community members. This particular extension, in past, we've had a 10-year lease agreement with this landholder, property owner, and through some discussion, we determined that a 5-year extension is in the county's best interest. With that, we will be investing in some upgrades to the facility, painting, carpeting, some flooring, some bathroom improvements, to the tune of nearly $230,000 of improvements to this facility, both for staff and those who visit for services. The total for this budget, as you mentioned, for this lease would then go up to $2,414,150 and some change. We are asking for the approval of this extension for 5 years, and with this lease, we have the ability to do 2 additional extensions of 5 years each.
Does this 5-year extension allow, in case we find a place that we want to purchase an out within that time period?
I didn't look specifically for that, but I can get back to you.
Standard language.
It's pretty standard for that, but I can dig deeper. If you want to hold over, I can come back.
I'm actually happy to make the motion today, but if you happen to find it that it doesn't have that, I'd like it to be amended and then reevaluated.
I'm here for the duration of this meeting, so maybe I can find it
Okay.
quickly if it does.
Okay, that's great.
Okay, yeah, I think we're still looking for a good long-term solution up there in Woodburn, so I just
Yeah,
wanna make
noted
sure that
Woodburn
that's-
people, we are looking for a place to buy for this health clinic. So if you have a property near you,
Yes.
give us a call.
Let us know.
Yes, it's a great location. Just to add a little plug, if we are seeking others, bus line, accessibility, parking is a must for our customers and our employees, and in a secure location.
Yeah,
Okay, you ready?
I am.
I move that we approve amendment number 1 to the lease agreement with Corey Development LLC to add $910,786.32 for a new contract total of $2,414,150.32 for the lease of office space at 976 986 North Pacific Highway in Woodburn, Oregon through June 30th, 2029.
I second the motion. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, the motion passes.
Thank
And
you.
are you staying for the next? Or
Yes, Terry's on vacation.
Great. Okay, well, you're up again, and I won't read the topic. You can just go into it.
All right, so the lease agreement before you today for consideration is an agreement with Nolan Works LLC in the amount of $1,049,773.64. This is a lease for the office space at 4660 Portland Road Northeast in Salem, Oregon. And the lease would be current through June of 2034. This is the location for our Justice Court, And the facility here is easy to access for our customers who need to visit the courts, do services there, etc. I just wanted to also let you know that we've had conversation with this lease owner about some tenant improvements that we'd like to present in the coming year. Again, it's in the incoming budget recommendation for some improvements to this property. The land or the lease owner has agreed to contribute $51,578.98 to this improvement, and the improvement would increase the security to this facility so that it has more like what you would see in the downtown court. So it would have the services as you come into the facility. You would go through a scanner prior to entering the building.
On the construction estimate, there's
Yes.
TIs. What's a TI?
Tenant improvements. So
Oh, okay.
Marion County would be contributing $71,515 plus what the owner of the property would be contributing of more than $51,000, and that would get us to the total project total for those tenant improvements.
You said that the improvements have to do with security?
Yes.
I don't actually see on here anything that has to do with security.
The lease itself is not. I'm just kind of letting you know we're improving it. So the lease
Got
is
it.
there. There is an agreement that has a communication agreement, and once the budget is approved,
Okay.
then we can move forward with getting that in place, setting up contracts, et cetera, to bring that security up to standard.
But is it says our county cost of whatever this is, 71,000, does that, and you say it includes security, but the description on here doesn't, it says flooring and paint and chair rails and tenant improvements and facility work orders.
Correct. Right now, the security system is inside the building. You actually enter the building, then if you're coming to court, then you go through the security services. This would move the security scanner to the front door.
I got it. So
Create
we're not buying a
wall.
security, we're just relocating it.
Correct.
That makes way more sense. Okay, thank you. And I know it has nothing to do with this contract, but since you brought it up and gave me that outline.
Happy to share information.
Thank you. Okay, I'm ready if you
All
are.
right, Madam Chair, I move that we approve the lease agreement with Nolan Works LLC, the amount of $1,049,773.64 for the lease of office space at 4660 Portland Road Northeast in Salem, Oregon through June 30th, 2034.
I second the motion. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, the motion passes.
Thank you.
All right, now we'll move on to Public Works to consider approval of amendment number 2 to the contract for the supply and processing of solid waste with Reworld Marion, Inc. to change the contractor's name from Cavanta Marion to Reworld Marion, adjust certain service rates, and extend the contract term date to December 31st, 2024. Brian May, I bet you never thought you would be here for this.
Good
He's not-
morning. I know it could have been probably a shorter title too, would have helped out, but
I mean, whatever, like you have any control over that.
we'll work through it for you this morning.
Okay.
So for the record, Brian May, Public Works Environmental Services Division Manager. As mentioned, before you is an approval of Amendment 002 for the contract with now Reworld Marion, previously known as Cavanta Marion. And just to be honest, we did not get a vote in their rebranding, but we're working with it now. And correct me if I stumble and say Cavanta versus Reworld. But to give you a little background here, our current agreement expires June 30th of this year, so here at the end of the month. As part of that agreement, we have the ability to do a 5-year extension. And I want to say kind of we were magically happily going through that process. It required both Marion County and Reworld to agree a year prior to termination that we wanted to proceed with that. So spring of 2023, we were going through that process. We ran into some discussions and a negotiation with some minor changes that Reworld was looking for. One was we had a small fixed increase for price at 1.5%, which they'd kind of gone through the high inflationary times and were wanting a little more relief. And in addition to that, they had a lot of struggles in 2023 with their ability just to process Marion County Waste Center to meet our guarantee of 125,000. They actually processed about 96,000 tons, which was significant penalties. So they were looking for some relief in bringing that number down. We'd gone through all those negotiations, thought we were in a good process. We were moving forward to have that amendment basically drafted into the board by the end of 2023. Meanwhile, their CEO came for a visit in late October and kind of changed that whole world for us, and basically put it forward that they would not be able to continue with that amendment, that they had definitely some major financial restraints that were causing them issues and they would not be able to proceed. So that turned us back into new negotiations that we in turn did not get a number or a process from ReWorld till January of this year. So as we were going through that process, it became obvious that they were looking for more than just some minor tweaks. They were looking for some significant changes. And those things needed to be addressed, but we also knew that we needed time to get into a deeper discussion. And so the amendment that's before you kind of addresses some of these needs. One, it addressed the rebranding to ReWorld. It extends us for 6 months to December 31st of 2024, which was beneficial. It adjusts the tip fee to what would have been $38.63 per ton to $72.25 per ton. So a significant increase. As part of that, ReWorld is providing us a monthly discount of free tons to 1,765.5 tons per month. So basically what that's going to do is create an equivalence of about $60 per ton. So still over a $20 per ton increase to Marion County for taking waste to them. All other conditions of the agreement will stay in place. Nothing else changes from that aspect as that move forward for that 6-month period. And I think most importantly for us, it allows Marion County and ReWorld to kind of address the future of incineration within Marion County. So we have a better understanding of what that looks like. And then for ReWorld, the important issues, they've kind of got 3 things that are kind of hanging out there that are giving them struggles with continuing to operate that facility in Marion County. And one of those being the Cleaner Air Oregon Act. When we entered in the initial 3-year agreement, that was kind of hanging out there. Well, it's still hanging out there and it has not been resolved. And that was the intent of that shorter term, was to have some clarity there. So it's still, those impacts are still not clarified. In addition to that, in 2023, Senate Bill 488 was passed.
That's the Deb Patterson bill, right?
That is. And this
Let's
is.
just be clear, Senator Patterson's the one that brought that forward.
Yes, this is a significant impact. It requires additional continuous air monitoring. Cabana, since inception, has had real-time air monitoring on certain constituents. This placed additional requirements and additional monitoring, but at a level that that technology doesn't exist, for example, dioxin for continuous monitoring. So DEQ has actually taken a very hard stance and wants to see that as a continuous methodology, even though it doesn't exist. ReWorld was required to submit a report or kind of their plan of achieving these requirements late in April, and they did that of this year, and we are still waiting for that feedback from DEQ as to whether they accept or if they'll penalize or how that'll move forward. So again, we need some time to address that.
Well, I just want to be really clear. So Senator Deb Patterson introduced legislation that passed in the session in 2023 to require Cavanta, now ReWorld, to monitor certain toxins with something that doesn't even exist.
Correct.
Like there's no measuring system anywhere for them to be able to do that.
Yeah, not on a real-time basis. These are usually addressed in what they call a stack test, where they physically are capturing gas that is coming out of the facility. And there's no way to mechanically do that on a daily or minute-by-minute type basis.
Makes total sense to me.
Yeah.
Well, and this is, I know that almost everybody in Marion County thinks that the idea of turning garbage into electricity is really cool.
Yeah.
That's a really cool final use of our waste. You know, we recycle everything we can, we pull all the stuff out that can be reused, and then at the very end, instead of just sticking it in the ground, we incinerate it and turn it into electricity that can then be used. So we still make use of our garbage even at the end. That's really cool. That's a really cool thing. And it's been in this county for over 30 years. And it's been a real benefit to the people of this community. So my hope is that Reworld, I'm getting used to saying that, can make some progress with DEQ, and that cooler heads can prevail, and that folks can find the best way forward, so that thing that we're so proud of here in Marion County can continue. That use of our waste at the very end to turn into electricity can continue. Excuse me. And I also think it's a kind of something that we should be proud of. We're the only county in the state that does that, right? And it was because of the foresight of the commissioners a long, long time ago to make that happen. So, let's hope that this gives them time to work out what they need to work out, and maybe we can land in a better place. But to Commissioner Bethel's point, I think this does go to show that, our legislators first need to do no harm. It's kind of like being a doctor, right? If when you're dealing with these very complicated systems, we need folks to be responsible over there, because otherwise we get stuck with the mistakes. We saw that with Measure 110, and now maybe we're seeing it with this as well, where somebody who had a good intention didn't really understand what exactly they were doing, and potentially could really harm our community. So.
Well, I disagree. I think she knows exactly what she was doing, because she's been advocating against that burner for a very long time. What good intentions would have looked like, in my opinion, for her was for her to write this bill saying we need to measure these, and here's money to go develop the system to go do it. And then nobody would have any issues to go figure it out. I'm not against measuring any type of toxin that goes into the air. I want to very much control that and keep our community safe. Yep. But the reality is she didn't do any of that. All she did was create harm, and she did it in such a swift manner without real education behind kind of what that measuring could be. Now Marion County and our surrounding neighbors are going to be gravely impacted by this legislation if Reworld can't figure this out. And frankly, it's costly. I mean, they would have to go implement some type of system in some technology space that doesn't exist. And as a business owner, I don't see how the burden falls solely on them. It's really, I'm very, very frustrated by it. And I think others are too. The city of Kaiser just had a conversation in their city council chambers recently where they said rates are going to go up because the county made a decision. Well, frankly, that's false. I mean, while we have to make decisions, we're being forced to make decisions because of Senator Patterson. And I just think it's really, really wrong. And I think Reworld's going to do their very best in the next 6 months, but the reality is what we're facing is going to be a much bigger challenge and decisions ahead to figure out what to do with our waste, because we in Marion County have a lot of it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, and my last piece to add to that is I appreciate all the conversations with the board and the stance that not to make a mid-year adjustment for disposal rates that would basically impact all 20 city jurisdictions throughout Marion County, and that is the financial impact that's listed here is $1.335 million. We do have a solid waste fund that can cushion that and take care of that burden from a short-term basis, and again, appreciate the guidance and efforts that we put forward.
Brian, I know you're putting a lot of work into this, an extensive amount, especially with the education piece for myself as a commissioner. But I just had a thought, Jan. I really think that we have to have a town hall with our 20 cities on this specific topic sooner than later to provide an education on what's going on in the greater space.
I think that the challenge that we have is that it's moving, right? Even in the last, whatever it is, 3 or 4 months, it's moved a lot on us. So I agree, we do have to have the timing and what we know and what we don't know and what we may not know. But I'm worried about, sometimes when you walk into a space, there's a lot of unknowns, then people all walk out of that meeting thinking different facts were shared,
right,
when different possibilities or potentialities were shared, and then everybody kind of can take it in whatever way that they interpret whatever the future will be.
That's inevitable, though, on any topic.
So I just think we need to make sure that we're communicating clearly the facts, so that we don't have situations like maybe in Kaiser where somebody said, oh, the county's doing X, Y, or Z,
Right.
and there's misinformation out there. So I just want to make sure that we think that through, but I'm not opposed to obviously communicating with our community.
Fantastic. Yeah, we'll get something scheduled.
Yeah, I'm not expecting us to go to all 20 spaces. I think we should try to host something
Yep.
that they can come into the major environment and then we can navigate it as one. There's not enough time to do all 20 cities in the next few months.
Yeah, that's
So,
great.
yeah, thank you, Brian.
You bet.
Okay, would you like a motion?
Yes,
Madam Chair?
please.
I move that we approve amendment number 2 to the contract for the supply and processing of solid waste with Reworld Marion Incorporated to change the contractor's name from Covanza Marion Incorporated to Reworld Marion Incorporated and adjust certain service rates, extend the contract term date to December 31st, 2024.
I second the motion. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, the motion passes. Nice to see you.
You bet. Thank you very much.
All right, now we're going to move on to community services. To consider approval of the contract for services with Willamette Workforce Partnership in the amount of $120,000 for administration of the Youth Employment Grant Program through July 1st, 2026.
Great,
Good
thank
morning,
you, and
Kelly.
good morning. For the record, I'm Kelly Weiss, Economic Development Program Manager here at Marion County with our Community Services Department. And just like Commissioner Bethel mentioned, we're here to talk about continuing a program we've been working with Willamette Workforce Partnership on for a while now, which is our Youth Employment Grant Program. So what the Youth Employment Grant Program is a partnership between Marion County and Willamette Workforce Partnership where we provide funding for small businesses in Marion County that are hiring youth between the ages of 14 and 17 in their first job. So what we're doing is we're offsetting the cost of the wages for those youth of $5 an hour for up to 1,000 hours of those youth in that first job. And the reason for this is because we recognize twofold. One, it's really important that youth get that opportunity to have that first job. That's where you learn to show up on time and to be respectful. You learn customer service. You learn how to have attention to detail, and all those things are super important for our future workforce. And then we also recognize how much time it takes for our businesses to train those youth in those first jobs. I think we've all had a first job and we all remember what that was like and how much we didn't know. And we can all remember those first supervisors who really helped us with that. So this is a wonderful program that we're happy to continue. On February 9th, the Economic Development Program completed a request for information to determine if there was any other entities in the county that wanted to work with us on this program. And once we received no submittals for that process, we worked with our finance department to prepare an agreement with Willamette Workforce to continue the program. So then we held a work session with the Board of Commissioners on May 30th to talk about this with Willamette Workforce, and they presented some potential changes to the program to be able to better market for the youth and be able to connect the youth to the employers. Historically, the last few years, this program has been much more focused directly on supporting the businesses. Willamette Workforce has been recruiting the businesses and less so recruiting the youth. So now the plan is to be able to more partner the youth and the businesses. So have the youth apply to Willamette Workforce, that they're looking for a business and they're looking for that first job, and then have Willamette Workforce be able to connect them to the businesses that are looking to hire youth. So it's much more engagement on Willamette Workforce's part, but I think it'll be a much better program for our youth in particular. And also for our businesses who don't necessarily know how to market that they're willing to hire youth. So the proposed agreement with Willamette Workforce Partnership is for 2 years with the opportunity for an extension up to June of 2027. The agreement is for $60,000 annually, so for the full 2 years, $120,000. It's set to be funded by our Economic Development Lottery Fund, which is helping to further support our goals of workforce development in the county. So with that, I'm open to any questions.
Do you have any questions?
I don't. I'm glad that this program's still going, and thank you, Commissioner Bethel, for bringing it to the county. You were the one that kicked this party off.
I am, but I stole it from Lynn County in full disclosure. You know, I do not believe in reinventing the wheel, just maybe making it go faster.
Yeah. Well, it's been a great program for our kids.
I was not able to be at the work session when Kim and her team were here, but I did follow up with her in an email exchange, and I wanted to know from her, and I ask her every year because I send a handwritten thank you to all the employers who are engaging in the work, and I just thought it would be interesting to, first of all, we've expanded. So this program began thanks to Tamara and her willingness to take this on last minute in April of 2021. So I'd only been here like 4 months. And we whipped it into shape for the spring and kind of haphazardly got it done and had approximately a dozen businesses the first year, about the same the second year. And then last year we had double that. And it's a great array from all over the county. So Aurora, Scioto, Salem, Woodburn, Brooks, Kaiser, Staten, Hubbard, and Silverton are all the communities, the employers and communities that are participating. And it's everything from agriculture to video production to gymnastics to golf, pizza places, the Gilbert House, a swim center. I just think it's awesome. I'm very excited about it. I think last year during the update, we had, Kim had brought in some employers. We had an HVAC owner from Staten come, and he talked about what it's like to be a small business owner in Oregon and the investment of time in his particular industry and how difficult it is to bring on a young person to not just sweep floors, frankly. I mean, usually they start kind of in those areas to just get there on time, get good communication, listening skills. But he talked more about how he was engaging these youth in the trade. And while they, I think it was his second year. So the first year he had 2 or 3 youth, and then the second year, one of those youth came back. And while the program doesn't support the youth the second year, the first year's investment from this program for him, specifically for this particular young man, got his feet wet enough to where he'd come back during the summer and actually work in the trade, and then that youth was going to move into the apprenticeship program and enter into HVAC. That's really what I hope to see, frankly, is, these youth getting exposure, not just earning a paycheck, but like getting into an environment to determine, do I like this, do I not like this, and employers not feeling overly burdened. So I love this program, and I hope more businesses learn about it through this new model. Frankly, recruiting youth is probably the best way to go, and then matching them up with a business. I didn't know about that until you just mentioned it, so I think that's excellent.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Is Dean Craig still going to oversee it?
Yes, yeah. With Kim's support, of course.
Sure, right, of course, yeah. Well, awesome.
All right. I don't have anything else. I just agree with everything she said. So.
We
all
could
right.
help them advertise this more.
Oh, yes.
Maybe we can work with John in our office and try to get some marketing through our medians out there.
Yeah, there will be a significant push. The goal, and thank you so much to the entire team for pushing this through fast enough. The goal was to be able to get this to our students before the end of the school year. We are like,
Which is like
smack
tomorrow.
on them.
Yeah, and thank you to everybody who got this through. Brenda, thank you for getting this to us quickly.
Perfect.
Really appreciate it. Okay, Madam Chair, I move that we approve the contract for services with Willamette Workforce Partnership in the amount of $120,000 for the administration of the Youth Employment Grant Program through July 1st, 2026.
I second the motion. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, the motion passes.
Great. Thank
Thanks,
you very
Kelly.
much.
All right, I'm going to recess the Board of Commissioners and convene a contract review board to consider approval of an order granting an exemption to the Marion County Public Contracting Rules to allow the direct selection of a vendor for one-time landscape maintenance services at county-owned facilities on Amsoil Highway as referenced in Exhibit A.
Hello, Commissioners. I'm back. Tamara Getch, Business Services. And before you is the request to do a one-time amendment for small procurement. This will allow our office to do a direct contract with a local landscape professional service that will help us in bringing our landscape for the Amsoil highway campuses, which include the jail, the transition center, our public safety building, as well as dog services in the public facing areas back to Marion County standards. This is important for me so that I can utilize resources immediately to secure the landscape services. The provider, we have received 4 separate quotes. The provider that most aligns with the needs of the county fits within this request and has told us that they'd be able to respond within a 48-hour of full execution of a contract. So this will enable us to take immediate action and address the areas that are identified in the Exhibit A.
We asked lots of questions about this yesterday. I think the important thing for me is that you did get several quotes.
I did.
And that this is the best one that came through.
This
we got to get it done fast, so that's why we need to do this exemption.
Correct.
So
Any
okay with that.
future landscape needs that we need to help us in maintenance would go through a normal recruitment or RFP process, RFQ process.
Okay.
I would love a motion to approve this and close the
Okay.
contract review board, please.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve an order granting an exemption to the Marion County public contracting rules to allow the direct selection of a vendor for one-time landscape maintenance services at county-owned facilities on Holmesville Highway as referenced in Exhibit A, and to close the contract review board.
I second the motion. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, the motion passes.
Thank
And
you.
we'll now reconvene as a Board of Commissioners. Is there anything you would like to add for the record, Commissioner?
Nothing's coming to mind right now.
Do you want to
We
talk
got a
at
lot
all
done.
about the canine event on Monday?
Well, just that I got I got some great swag from some local public officials. How's that sound? No, look, every time we can get together and celebrate the work that our public safety officials do in this community, I'm always excited to do that. And it's also fun, a lot of our men and women who serve us in the police agencies around here and in the sheriff's office were there, and they had their hair down and they were golfing, and so that was also pretty great, is to just see folks who take their job seriously and we interact with dealing with very serious issues a lot of times. To see them kind of relaxed and in their element was great. It's a really happy thing. So I look forward to that every year, and thank you for being a part of it this year.
Yeah.
You were very much at the front of that event, and I think our law enforcement folks appreciated that. So.
Thank you. Yeah, it was fun to engage this year in a bigger way. I came home with a great sunburn. Who knew that standing one direction the whole day would burn the back of your body? But I, myself, and my other peers that were at our booth all felt uncomfortable by the end of the day. And yesterday, Sheriff Hunter, who participated also the whole day, sent me a GIF, those little fun active videos of arms on fire. He had his whole uniform on with short sleeves, and it was just his arms exposed, and his forearms are super
Bright red.
sunburned. So
Lobster
next
red.
year when I sponsor it, I happily provide the cups again, but I'm also going to provide
Sunscreen.
for everybody.
Sunscreen.
Because, I just didn't think about it. I was out there for like 9 or 10 hours, just moving around, talking to people, but also I golfed on Friday, which, by the way, is a sad sight to see. I can do most things but golf.
I'm impressed.
And I tried. I did the Sudcor golf tournament on Friday, and of course I got sunburned then too, but only on the left side of my body because I was driving the golf cart. So I have a very uneven skin tone under this suit. I'll have to fix it this weekend at the lake.
There you go. Good for you.
Yeah, it was a great event. I heard a rumor that the fundraiser brought in over $40,000 for the canine
That's
program.
wonderful.
Marion County Canine Program. It is wonderful because those dogs are not cheap, and we hope to, through our investment as commissioners, but also through our community support, provide them comfortable habitat at their homes with their handlers, and that can be expensive. And it's also a little sticky to pay with taxpayer dollars what that could look like. And this fundraiser helps with kennels and other things at the sites that they're housed at with their handlers. In fact, I had one of the handlers describe to me how much work he had to do in his yard. These dogs are not just average dogs. You can't just let them roam in your backyard because they are working dogs. They have to have certain type of kenneling and cover and so forth. And he basically upended his entire backyard in order to accommodate his dog.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, wow, your wife is very nice. But anyway, it was an extensive project for him, and the fundraiser helped him do that last year, which I'm grateful for. They don't have to take the burden on, and we don't have to figure it out otherwise. So next year, it happens every year, if you like to golf and support canines, there was like 35 teams. So double teams coming through each hole for the first half of the tournament, which was a bit overwhelming, and there was lots of balls flying in the air. In fact, Lieutenant Wilkinson, who I hope is listening, was running a game station, which was up on a hill away from, I was on hole 15, we were at Creekside, shooting a golf ball out of a gun cannon.
I'd heard about this.
Yes, thank God I had a tent, because the first 7 shots hit on the hole we were at, including our tent. I was like, okay, hopefully those are not cops discharging that cannon, because if so, they need to get to the range because their aim sucks. But it turns out it was not. It was a bunch of realtors, so they also need to go to the range.
They said that it had a nasty hook. The
Sure.
ball cannon had a nasty
I also
hook.
heard
That's
the
okay.
wind was impacting it, but I was there and I did not see any wind, so whatever. It did get better throughout the day, but I believe it was because Sheriff Hunter made a call to Lieutenant Wilkinson and told him to correct the aim. Anyway, it was a lot of fun. I'm thankful for Creekside Golf Course, who also supports the event, because they give an entire day away, which is quite a revenue loss to them for this event to take that much time. But I think I'm golfed out for the year.
Yeah, sounds like it. Two in a weekend.
2 and 4 days. I'm done. So, all right. Well, if there's nothing else, we can get on with the day.
All right.
All right, everybody, have a great day. Meeting adjourned.